Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Pay-Per-View of the Week, episode number 11. We're revisiting the pay-per-view that occurred in 2018 at WWE Hell in the Cell. I'm going to state this right here and now. This pay-per-view was actually rather fun to go back and revisit. A lot of the matches were actually decent and entertaining. Surprisingly, there was some good storylines that were told leading up to the event as well. Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, which was the main event, had some logic gaps that were horrendous leading up to this pay-per-view, which at one point, Braun Strowman had an opportunity to cash in on Roman Reigns and never did. So that was really kind of idiotic in a nutshell, and never understood that at all. So that was the most horrific thing I ever seen in cash-in history for a Money in the Bank briefcase winner. But yeah, that was pretty fucking sad. The only other thing more sad than that was Baron Corbin cashing in on Jinder Mahal after he had I believe he had a championship title defense, and then Baron Corbin came in to cash in on him and still failed in less than a minute and lost to Jinder Mahal. So that was probably the worst cash in I ever seen in my life. Outside of Braun Strowman's lost opportunity after he beat the living crap out of the entire Shield with Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler when they were the Raw Tag Team Champions, and did not want to cash in on Roman Reigns. Instead, he wanted to save it for Hell in a Cell, which made no fucking sense to me at all. But whatever. Let's get into the pay-per-view itself. Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy kickstarted the show in a Hell in a Cell match. This was actually probably the best match on the entire card. There was a few other matches on here that could compete up against it, but as brutality goes for a Hell in a Cell match, Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy did an excellent job. And in this match, Randy Orton displayed such ruthless and unadulterated violence towards Jeff Hardy, and hatred, I should say, too. He actually applied a screwdriver through a big-ass hole that was in Jeff Hardy's ear, because he uses these big-ass earrings that leave these, I forgot what they're called, ear hole, ear pierce. I know it's an ear piercing, but I don't know the specific name, but he has like these big ass holes in his ears, and he took the earring out completely, so he has these big ass holes. So Randy Orton saw as an opportunity to inflict some severe pain and sadistic pain by taking a screwdriver, putting it through the hole, and tying the earlobe that was dangling from the hole, and actually tie it around the screwdriver by twisting the screwdriver around his ear, where the screwdriver was actually inside the earlobe and he was twisting it. Very sick, sadistic shit you normally don't see in a Hell in a Cell match. Then Jeff Hardy, being the psychotic Looney Tune that he is, which I hope he doesn't do anything psychotic against Darby Allin at this first rounder Owen Hart tournament this coming Wednesday against Darby Allin. And we just see a really good match between these two. Hope nobody gets really hurt. That would really suck. But during this match, Jeff Hardy was climbing up the ladder like he usually does, because he's an insane psychopath. No matter how old the guy gets, he still throws his body around like he's a battering ram. And he climbs up to the top of the ladder, and he's actually able to touch the roof of the Hell in a Cell. So he grabs hold of it, and he's swaying back and forth, back and forth, and he drops all the way down with Randy Orton on top of a table, and Randy Orton moves out of the way, and he lands face first right through the fucking table and into the mat. And folks, this is not the old Hell in a Cell structure where it's only 15 feet high. This structure is a hell of a lot bigger, as you already know. And I think it's about 25 feet. I think they made it 10 feet higher than normal. And he landed face first. So I believe it was 25 feet in the fucking air all the way down to the mat. That is pretty far distance from the cell down to the mat. That is painful as shit. The referee was calling for the doctors and everything, and he just wanted to stop the match because he didn't see any point in this match continuing. The guy knocked himself out, so technically Randy Orton would have won by knockout. But Randy Orton refused. He wanted the pinfall victory, and the referee was like, man, he's knocked out. I'm getting some doctors over here. What the hell's wrong with you? He's done. And he goes, no, man, I'm pinning him. So he's like, damn it. And he just, he counts to 3 and counts him out. And Randy Orton picks up the victory that way. Randy Orton, man, he was pretty banged up too. Jeff Hardy did a good number on him. He had quite a few gashes on his back from the steel chair shots that Jeff Hardy delivered on him. He also had, I believe, a piece of debris from a table stuck inside of his leg, which I remember seeing this when I originally watched it back in 2018, and there was just like blood oozing out of his leg and trickling down his leg and everything. It looked disgusting as shit, and I think it was a piece of wood that was hanging out of his leg and out of his skin. I'm like, what the fuck? Damn. I mean, unless he landed on glass, that was actually wood. That would look pretty sick. I was kind of worried if it hit a artery or something, man. That would have been brutal as shit. I think the match would have been stopped. Something a little similar like that did happen during Royal Rumble of 2000 between Triple H and Mick Foley. They actually discussed that in a mini documentary about that match. And they talked about how Triple H had a severe gash in his foot. Somewhere around, I believe, by his ankle or the upper part of his shin, nearby where his ankle was, and he had blood gushing through. Not gushing, but he was like bleeding quite a bit, and he had to finish the match just to get through it, and he almost passed out from blood loss. Thankfully, once the match was over, they rushed him to, I believe they said they rushed him to the hospital or some shit, to get him fixed up and, healed up from that. That was pretty fucking brutal, thing they discussed on that. If you haven't seen that, I'd go back and try to find it on Peacock. I don't know how the hell you can find it. I guess you look in documentary section? I have no idea. That's the weird part about Peacock. They absolutely suck. But anyway, that match, folks, I'm giving that match a 4 out of 5 stars, easily with no problem. That was a good matchup between those two, especially to kickstart the show. Then we had the SmackDown Women's Championship match. We had Ronda Rousey. Or not Ronda Rousey, I'm so sorry. That's in today's modern day wrestling. This is WWE in 2018. Ronda Rousey was on Raw. This was actually Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. This was the initial heel turn by Becky Lynch to ultimately turn face anyway, and it didn't even fucking matter. It was like only a couple of weeks to a month that Becky Lynch was playing a heel character. And once again, WWE continues to face the same issue again, where they want Becky Lynch to be a heel, yet people still cheer for Becky Lynch at the end of the day. Personally, I think people should boo her at this point. The way she acts is just completely and utterly dick-like personality is what she has. She acts like a fucking douche. So why not boo her? She absolutely sucks at this point anyway. With her, my precious, my hobbies. What a fucking joke. What has she been watching Lord of the Rings with Fat Bruce? Get the fuck out of here. What a joke. But yeah, Bruce, I almost said Bruce Pritchard. What the fuck? He wasn't in this match. Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, they both had a pretty decent matchup. I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Charlotte Flair connected with a spear that was actually countered into, she kind of turned her body around to land right on top of Charlotte Flair. Becky Lynch at that point with that reversal was able to connect with a pinfall and get the 1-2-3 very easily. Very odd finish, very different than normal. So I was a bit surprised by that finish. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was a decent match overall, not bad. The next match after that, we had the Raw Tag Team titles on the line. This was actually with Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler as the Raw Tag Team Champions going in with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. As we already know, he is Jon Moxley now. But anyway, this match was actually as entertaining as the match that Jon Moxley and Seth Rollins had as a tag team the year before that in 2017's, I believe it was No Mercy, where they faced the Bar, Cesaro and Sheamus for the Raw Tag Team titles. And I do believe that was when the Bar was actually the Raw Tag Team Champions, possibly, or this was just a rematch from SummerSlam. I think I might be wrong. I think at SummerSlam, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose teamed together to win the tag team titles from Cesaro and Sheamus. So I might be incorrect about that. But the match that they had the second go-round at the No Mercy pay-per-view in 2017, that was a good one. And this reminded me a lot of that match from the year before. And I got to say that these two teams worked very well together. I actually enjoyed, during that time, the 2 years of Moxley and Seth Rollins teaming together and winning tag team gold. I think they were very fun to watch. They gelled very well together. And right now, at this point, with Moxley being with Bryan Danielson and Wheeler Yuta in the Blackpool Bullet Club, or Bullet Club, the Blackpool Combat Club, I think Moxley is flourishing in the tag team division, and I believe now that they have officially announced that there will be a 6-man tag team championships for AEW. I believe that Wheeler Yuta, Bryan Danielson, and Jon Moxley should win those titles initially. But anyway, getting back to this matchup, I am actually grading this match a 4 out of 5 stars because the action between these two teams was superb and the ending was just so cool as shit, especially with Drew McIntyre getting the finish with the Claymore kick. I believe it was to Seth Rollins, and Drew McIntyre got the pinfall for the victory for his team. I believe that Seth Rollins was trying to go for a move on Dolph Ziggler, and in the middle of doing that, Drew McIntyre came in and connected with the Claymore kick to get the victory for his team. So that was a really interesting way of ending the match altogether. I thought this was great action overall and great tag team wrestling between these two teams. So solid work by both of them. The next match after that was actually AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. These two guys had a storyline that was built up through the actual SummerSlam pay-per-view before this. This was based on Samoa Joe kind of like getting in the head of AJ Styles. A lot of this had to do with psychological warfare, mostly by Samoa Joe, trying to pretend that he was going to harm AJ Styles' family, kind of like what Edge is doing now with AJ Styles by bringing his family into the picture. A lot of similarities between Edge's storyline with AJ now and what Samoa Joe did back then. Only Edge took this whole storyline a little bit more darker, to like the Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness type of mentality. So that's kind of what's going on with Edge's storyline with AJ Styles altogether. Not to mention bringing new stars into the realm with Edge, to make them a little bit more popular than what they were before, because their popularity absolutely sucked between Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. Come on, man. You guys can't say that Damian Priest was doing all that good while he was the U.S. champion. After WrestleMania 37, he kind of died out and fizzled away. They fucked him up royally in his singles run by himself. Thankfully, they put him in a storyline with Edge, and Rhea Ripley, she's been shit for the last 2 years, so this was the best thing for her anyway. So bottom line, I mean, with that being said, thank goodness for Edge being around, or Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest would have nothing to show for their career right now. God knows what the hell they did on Raw tonight, so who the hell knows on that shit. Anyway, getting to this match with AJ Styles and Samoa Joe for the WWE Championship. Like I said, the match they had at SummerSlam was a continuation to this, and they had a pretty much a no contest or disqualification on AJ Styles. AJ Styles lost that match. Samoa Joe won thanks to disqualification, and this granted Samoa Joe a rematch. Samoa Joe and AJ Styles had an excellent performance during this match. I'm giving this a 4 out of 5 stars as well. This was a really good match. But the ending was a little, kind of like Brock Lesnar, Undertaker type ending from SummerSlam of 2015. Brock Lesnar had him in the Kimura armbar, the Kimura lock, and we actually see Undertaker tapping out, but the referee couldn't see it, and the referee went ahead and restarted the match, and Undertaker won the match anyway with a Dragon Sleeper putting Brock Lesnar to sleep. So that's pretty much what happened on that matchup anyway, and this was a very similar ending. AJ Styles was put in the Takia clutch, and he rolled over to put himself on top of Samoa Joe, while Samoa Joe's shoulders were pinned to the mat. The referee could not see AJ Styles' hand tapping on the side of Samoa Joe because he was paying close attention to Joe's shoulders being pinned, so he couldn't really see anything happening on the side of Samoa Joe. So technically they were going to need another set of eyes to see this in order for the match to be called correctly. This left Samoa Joe with the belief he actually won because he felt AJ Styles tapping the side of his stomach, or a side of Samoa Joe's stomach, and when the bell rang, he was like, "Oh my God, I won!" And no, he didn't. He got counted out like a schmuck because the shoulders were pinned to the mat, so he didn't even realize that. That was the one flaw in that ending that I didn't like. But otherwise, very good match. Very good match indeed. A lot of fun. and it was enjoyable. Very hard hitting. I mean, AJ Styles was fucking bleeding like a pig from his mouth. So there you go on that. The next match after that, folks, was actually Miz and Maurice teaming together against Brie Bella and Daniel Bryan, now known as Bryan Danielson, as of course. This was, I didn't even care for this. I'll be honest with you guys. I skipped this shit because I knew that Miz was supposed to win the damn match, and I was never a fan of Brie Bella, and I wasn't a fan of this matchup between Miz and Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam of 2018. It was actually the worst match on the entire card that year. That match was fucking boring as shit. One of the worst matches I have ever seen Daniel Bryan in WWE. That was utterly boring as fuck. It was a terrible, terrible situation that did not help Daniel Bryan in any way. So I didn't care for this match at all. I skipped it. I did not watch it. I was running late on time to watch this. I thought this was actually literally a 3-hour show. It was literally 3 hours and 32 minutes. So it was almost 4 hours of a pay-per-view. And I was like, okay, I need some time to skip some of this shit. So I'm not going till 11:30 watching this garbage and end up having to do this until 12 o'clock in the fucking morning. Which you guys will get a lot later than that anyway. So point being there. But yeah, this match wasn't all that big of a deal. I mean, it was an average Joe match. I'll give it a 3 out of 5 stars. Miz's team actually wins. There's a distraction by the Miz to Brie Bella. Brie Bella seemed like she had things under control, but unfortunately she didn't. And Maurice took advantage of the distraction and got the victory for her team. Not much of an ending. It was real utter trash altogether. So actually one of the worst matches on this card outside of the main event. Following that, we had Ronda Rousey defending the Raw Women's Championship against Alexa Bliss. Now, as current day wrestling goes, Ronda Rousey's nickname is Ronda Drowsy. And I have to agree with that sentiment. She is fucking boring as shit. There is no enthusiasm coming out of this woman's mouth when she cuts a promo. But during the 2018 run she had a lot more energy. I mean, if you watch the promo video, the video package of how she sounded during her promos, she sounded more energetic. She sounded like she was totally in on the whole storyline being told between her and her opponent for the match that she was going to have at the pay-per-view leading up to that pay-per-view that she had. This is sad because Alexa Bliss, if it wasn't for the fact that Alexa Bliss was so small and she was actually taller and a little bit more, stronger, she'd actually be a believable opponent for Ronda Rousey during this match. But unfortunately, with her height and stature, she's not very believable at all compared to Ronda Rousey, who is a well-experienced MMA fighter and went a long period of time with no one defeating her, and she defended the UFC championship in her weight class for a very long time. I believe for like 3 or 4 years, and no one was able to beat her. So when you got that, and you got a woman who's like 5 foot, she's actually literally 5 foot, and she's a fucking toothpick on top of it, and she's attacking Ronda Rousey as if she's the same height and stature as she is, it leaves you questioning, where is the realism in this? It was really, really bizarre watching this and seeing Ronda Rousey have to sell for Alexa Bliss. That was the biggest problem about this match. And this match is not terrible in the fact that it was a bad match. It was terrible in the fact that it wasn't realistic. Bottom line, this match should have never reoccurred. After SummerSlam, when Alexa Bliss lost the championship to Ronda Rousey, Alexa Bliss should have never gotten another shot because it wasn't going to be believable if they had a legitimate match. And not to mention, they had a match at SummerSlam and they did not make it legitimate. They had her beat the living shit out of her. And Ronda Rousey walked away without a scratch on her. So if they're going to do it that way at SummerSlam, why would they make it any different here? It wouldn't be any change. It'd be the exact same ending. Ass beating and a loss in less than 5 minutes. That's the way it should have been, but they didn't do that. So that's why the match in people's eyes felt it was a terrible, terrible matchup altogether because it wasn't realistic. My attitude is I'm not going to go based off of that completely because based on what we've seen, what she's done with Charlotte Flair in the last 2 months, I would fucking take anything to see the old Ronda Rousey back where she's energetic and actually full of enthusiasm, because this Ronda Rousey that's come back for a second go-round, she ain't doing much of anything but boring the shit out of everybody, and she sounds very monotone and doesn't seem like she is even wanting to be there to begin with. But then again, nobody else seems like that either. They don't want to be there at all. I think everybody is pretty much fed up of working for WWE. They're just doing it because they're making a paycheck. But yeah, this match, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I know that's an extremely high rating for a match like this based on the situation that I just explained. But still, the match was fun. It was entertaining, but it was, I will admit, unrealistic. Then we have the main event. Oh, fuck me in hell. Oh, shit. Well, not really. Don't fuck me in hell. But anyway, this felt like the match was good for a certain point, and then everything went to hell in a handbasket. We had a bunch of random people from the two factions that both Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman had created, were interacting outside of the cell, having a war on top of the cell, around the cell, and through announce tables between Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins at that point. And then all of a sudden, we got fucking Brock Lesnar showing up out of nowhere because Brock lost to Roman Reigns at SummerSlam of that year. And he breaks into the cage like he's fucking Kane from 1997. And he F5s both of them and beats the holy hell out of them. The weird part is both of these guys, after the spear through the table in the corner that Braun Strowman set up, neither one of them moved for about 10 whole minutes. And most of the time after that, we just saw Jon Moxley and Seth Rollins attacking Dolph Ziggler and fucking Drew McIntyre. And that's what we got to see throughout the later stages of this match. Mostly. Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman didn't do a fucking thing. And they just laid there unconscious doing absolutely nothing. So at the end of the day, guys, this match actually turned out to be complete and utter shit because of that. And then Brock Lesnar breaks into the cage, beats the crap out of both the men, F5s them both, attacks them with parts of a table that was already broken. And Mick Foley actually was the special guest referee. He got sprayed mist in his eyes by Paul Heyman at this point when Brock Lesnar showed up. And a referee came in. And what does the referee do? Does he continue the match? No. He calls it a no contest. How the fuck can you call it a no contest? That is the most outrageous thing I've ever seen in my life. The match should have continued, and we should have had someone with a victory at the end of the day. You know, it made absolutely no sense. The referee called for the bell. Michael Cole said that was the best choice the referee could have made because there was neither one of them could continue. Neither one of them was able to move or do anything. So the match was at a pretty much a complete and utter, I guess you could say, stalemate, and no one could do anything. So I still don't get it. I've never heard of a no contest in a Hell in a Cell match before. This is the most bizarre ending to any Hell in a Cell match outside of the 2019 Hell in a Cell with Seth Rollins and The Fiend, who is a supernatural character that could not be destroyed and be defeated hardly at all, except for supposedly Goldberg was able to do that. Thank you, Goldberg, for killing the nostalgia or the enjoyment of the Fiend's character. You piece of shit. But anyway, that is pretty much the ending of that match. That match I'm going to give a 2.5 out of 5 stars. The match between Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns was good, but after they laid there for 10 whole minutes doing absolutely nothing, and we just had all this nonstop chaos that was happening with the other two teams that had nothing to do with this match, really did not make a whole lot of sense. And then Brock Lesnar breaking into the fucking cage like he's King Kong and destroying everybody in the ring, and the referee just calling a no contest and ringing for the bell made absolutely no sense to me and killed the whole enjoyment of the match. So that's pretty much the entire pay-per-view in a nutshell. So majority of the show is actually pretty good. The ending of the show, which, like, as always, which is the most important thing of any pay-per-view or any movie, if you're going to watch a movie for that matter, you have to have a good ending. If you don't have a good ending, the whole thing was for nothing. And that's kind of what this pay-per-view was. It fell flat on its face at the end of the day. And that's a pretty shitty way of ending a good pay-per-view overall. But anyway, guys, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you like this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. And I thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great night, guys. Bye.